Good morning, everybody. I'm going to call the meeting to order. It is 37. A roll call, please.
Chair Rutledge,
Here.
Vice Chair Garcia.
Here.
Member Cahill.
Here.
Member Evans, Member LaPlante, Member Covert. Here.
Thank you. For my chairwoman's remarks this morning, at our county board meeting last week, we approved the change in the beekeeping ordinance, and I know that there were a lot of strong opinions on both sides of that, and I think that for me, the takeaway from that is we've got to do a better job with habitat. And so I will absolutely be moving towards that. Chair Conroy even talked about pesticides. I like that idea too. So I think for an environmental committee, that's a great focus for us to have. So public comment. We do have public comment. The board has received public comment via our online portal per board policy. Those comments were provided to members yesterday so they could be reviewed. Comments submitted electronically will be included in the minutes of this meeting. So if you wanted to see what those minutes were, you can look up a packet after we post that. So next for in-person public comment, Kay McKean.
Good morning, everybody. Sheila and Paula, thanks for attending Lyon Township's Earth Flag Ceremony in August. They're a small group, but well over 100,000 pounds they've collected in electronics and textiles. And I know they don't weigh the books and things since they've started their 5 days a week. So that's really pretty amazing
Stuff.
Isn't that great? We have 2 toxins hiding in plain sight workshops coming up. We did these last spring and they were really well attended, and people don't know what is household hazardous waste and they don't know where to take it. So finding out, reading labels together and talking about the proper place for things to be safely to protect our soil and landfills and keep batteries out and those kinds of things. Really important. We have an outdoor composting workshop coming up. And I wanted to tell you, Naperville had their employee picnic on Wednesday. It was Wednesday of last week. And they borrowed 500 plates for our Green Your Gig project. They borrowed 500 forks, cloth napkins, knives, spoons, borrowed it all. So it was a zero waste event. So that was pretty exciting to see that Naperville did that for their staff. So I hope that that continues and grows even more. It's about 5 projects each month now, borrowing dishes and reusable things for whether it's baby showers, wedding showers, now employee luncheons. So that's kind of fun. So that's all I have. Thanks, guys.
Okay, how many place settings do you have?
We have about 1,000 depending on the plates. We have about 500 forks, a little over 500 forks, but we are now getting China sets for very nice small bridal showers and things like that. So everything, you guys, place settings, flat centerpieces, candle holders, everything, tablecloths. So people can really borrow a lot of stuff to have big zero waste.
Thank
We're
you.
excited about it.
Appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
Next, Dave Barkus.
Morning. First, I wanted to talk about Laura Elman's bill. It was signed August 9th. Best part of her release was the fact that she's going to go and expand it going forward. So this one covers the state parks, as I told you, and what they took out of the original bill was all the other things that the state is responsible for. So I don't know if she's going after IDOT next, but that's a big one. And that's very exciting. The next one is about the city or municipal area of Pittsburgh. I think I mentioned it to you guys a year and a half ago or more. The mayor at the time had just signed in an ordinance on dark sky, and he was trying to change out the initial LED lighting. Then that mayor lost to another person, and that person just changed the priorities. So things kind of sat, and just got an update from Diane Turchek, who is the advocate and astronomer at Carnegie Mellon that was working on it. She said they are going forward. This year, they finalized their plans, and next year they're going to implement them. They're going to change out all of the 4,000 Kelvin they have for 2,700, and they're going to do another 39,000. So their stated goals are no light trespass and no glare and improved safety. So I think I've told you guys, if you do it right, you can feel much safer with everything that comes with the technology. And the last thing is I'm involved with SAG, and that happened from Edith Macra. And they do a 3-year planning process for all the utilities, gas and electric. Right now is I'm on something called a non-financial stakeholder committee, and lots of meetings. And Dark Sky is on there with our 5 principals, but very small compared to what everyone else is trying to do with the IQ income qualified people. So I'll see how it goes. It's very interesting, and maybe we get ComEd to support us. So we'll see. That's it.
Good job. Thank you, David. Next on our agenda is item 5A, 2354, the minutes from our meeting August 6th. I hear a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries. Next, 2355, the Joint Development and Environmental Committee minutes from the special call meeting.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries. Staff reports, 2356, the Burr Ridge Recycling Center.
Yeah, so I have good news this morning. So we did a soft launch with the Village of Burr Ridge. They are now accepting, let's see, smoke detectors, car seats, strollers, high chairs, power wheel cars with batteries, those little ones that the kids run around in, tricycles and bubble cars. There is,
bubble car?
I think it's
Those
those like
little-
little tyke
little
ones.
tyke
Oh,
ones.
okay, those like, those like
They
Fred
are.
Flintstone.
Those for our kids.
I
So
did,
that's how long
well, I
they've
know I
been.
had one, but I was like, couldn't be that, could
Or they had to
it?
have a battery, and use your feet.
Yeah.
So we're excited about that, and we'll be promoting those new items.
Thank you, Joy. Next presentation on the campus tunnel lighting energy efficiency project, 2357. Ian, good
Yes.
morning.
So you can just go to the first slide. Thank you. So this is a recap of the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant that we received last year. So we received about $500,000 to spend on various energy efficiency and other green projects. So we broke them up into 4 projects. We have 2 level 2 chargers that are going to get installed at the courthouse to expand our EV charging infrastructure on campus. We are very close to really breaking ground on that. We just are waiting for the Wheaton permits, the kind of final little step there. We also plan on finishing the 421 building roof here, flushing it out with more solar, essentially just completing this building's solar infrastructure. And actually just last Friday, we received the first preliminary drawings from the engineering company. So we do have to do a little bit more paperwork for the federal grant aspect because the size of the system is more than we're allowed to have right now, according to the National Environmental Policy Act. However, it's just a quick little paperwork that should be, I've been told from the Department of Energy, it will be green lighted with no problem. And then I believe I saw Lisa on the call as well. She is working on the workforce gap analysis and training portion, which I'm excited to hear an update from her as well. And then finally, we had a tunnel LED lighting retrofit project that we estimated to be about $70,000, but the final cost came out to be $55,000. Part of the reason that was super low though, is because of Rob Quigley. Rob Quigley, many of you may not know who that is, but he's our lead electrician here on campus, and him and his team, about 5 guys, do everything there is on campus electrical related, whether it's working with contractors or doing various labor things themselves. And so the reason this came out to be so low is that we just had to buy the lights, and lights are not cheap. As you can tell, we bought about $55,000 worth of lights, and then him and his team did the complete install. It was also his idea. He knows this campus so well. It's awesome. When we have some money, we go, hey, Rob, what's a project we can do? He immediately has something. And I'll tell you why this in a second here, why this project was so important. But anyways, kudos to Rob and his team of Esteban and Jake, who worked several weeks in very hot, dusty, cramped, and dark conditions because they have to, shut off the lights. They can't run electricity while they're working on stuff. So anyways, kudos to them. Okay, so quick overview of our tunnel system. Many of you may or may not know this, but we have about a mile worth of tunnels that connect most of the campus. It starts at the star there on the map, which is our power plant. Its address is 410 North County Farm Road. And from there, there's a tunnel system that you can see connects most of the buildings, excluding the Northwest Child Advocacy Center and the Southwest campus for the Department of Transportation, Animal Services, and them. It does not connect those. But what this tunnel system contains is a series of high temperature hot water pipes and chilled water pipes that run to the various buildings, and then those buildings have their own set of air handlers that either use that hot water or that chilled water to then condition or heat the building's air. So essentially you can look at our campus and you can kind of think of it as all in the same air conditioning unit or all in the same heating unit, obviously excluding those few campuses that aren't connected. Yes, next slide, Tony. So we have 3 boilers at that power plant. We have 2 large boilers that are rated at 45 million British thermal units and a small, quote, small boiler that is rated at 30 million British thermal units. Those larger boilers have the similar heating capacity of burning about 13,000 pounds of wood. And they are used to heat about 1.7 million square feet of campus. So these are really large boilers because they have to heat a large amount of office space. The kind of systematic rundown of how it works is boiler 3, our small little boiler. It runs constantly all year round, supplying whatever hot water air needs that are needed on campus. And what's interesting is those pipes run a water supply of 375 degrees Fahrenheit, which is interesting because what the boiling point of water is 212. So realistically, we should be just shooting steam in these pipes, but since they're so pressurized, we keep it in liquid form, which is super interesting. It's super pressurized, it's superheated water. And anyways, boiler 3 runs about all the time until outside temperatures hit about 35 degrees Fahrenheit, or when that sustained water supply drops below 375. And then, so what happens is boiler 3 switches off and we turn on one of the big boilers when that happens. And then we turn boiler 3 back on when the outside temperature hits closer to 20 degrees Fahrenheit. And then we have 2 boilers running. On the flip side from heating, we have chilled water, right? And we have about 4 large chillers that also cool 1.7 million square feet of office space. The chiller 1/2 is a duplex machine rated at 2,000 tons. And, you know, if you have an air conditioning unit at home, you know, you probably have what, a 2.5 ton system at your home, depending on how large your home is. But anyways, we're talking about 800 single family homes that one chiller could cool. And then chiller 3 and 4 are both smaller chillers that have about 1,000 tons, also same capacity to cool about 400 homes. And then to supplement that, we have a 1.2 million gallon chilled water thermal storage tank that can also supplement additional cold water. And then finally, a cooling tower that takes any of the rejected condenser heat from this process and then cools that heat off as well. Similar to the 375 sustained water supply, our chilled water likes to keep the sustained water supply at 38 degrees Fahrenheit. So as soon as that water supply, that temperature rises above that, we start to incorporate more chillers, more use. And it's a completely automated system. There's a series of sensors that check supply temperature with return temperature and then adjust the amount, the chillers accordingly. And then in the summertime, these chillers use about 25% of our campus electricity usage. And they use about 12% of our entire campus electricity usage year round. So they're pretty large machinery, but I mean, they're cooling almost 2 million square feet. So that tunnel system carries high temperature hot water and chilled water throughout campus. And then I know this picture's not that great, but on the left, that large metal box area, those are this building's air handlers, at least for the north side of the building. And those air handlers have a series of filters, UV, ultraviolets, cleaning mechanisms, all sorts of things that take air and either transfer that heat in that air to the chilled water, or take that high temperature hot water and absorb some of that heat to condition and heat our building. You can see the massive ventilation system that goes from that air handler, but that's just a few floors down from us. But that's essentially the setup at most of our buildings. Either 1 or 2 of these setups in the north and south portions of the buildings. Okay, so now the actual lighting project. So we had a bunch of fluorescents and high pressure sodium lamps that were down in that mile length of tunnel systems. And the issue was that they were always on. There was no way to turn them off really without cutting power. And obviously there's a lot of maintenance and work that gets done in these tunnels. So cutting the power, especially during an emergency, wouldn't really make sense because a lot of our staff is on call 24/7 to deal with any issues that arise. So it's costing us over $7,000 a year in electricity alone. So what we did was we retrofitted all of them, or I should say Rob and his team retrofitted all of them to LED lights that cut energy by close to 50%. And then what's the new fancy tech that's on these lights too, are the Nlight air sensors. And I guess this is kind of the industry standard moving forward in a lot of indoor lighting projects. And it's just a nice sensor that kind of does it all on a single fixture. It can dim, you can connect to it with Bluetooth and set all types of timers. There's sunlight harvesting, and then of course occupancy sensing, all built into one sensor. So now these lights only turn off when they sense movement, and a chain of them will turn on so that if somebody's working right there, they'll have multiple lights on. But yeah, the main thing is they can turn off.
These are like the same things, so like that's how light it gets with those on?
Yes, yeah, oh yeah, sorry, this is a before and after picture right here on the right. So those were our nasty orange high pressure sodium lamps on the left that were close to 100 watts each. And then on right are the new linear LED strips. And them being able to turn off reduces our CO2 emissions down there by about 80,000 pounds a year, which it's nice though, because it's like these lights are just always on underground. Like that is so backwards. It's, you know, so anyways, Rob immediately was like, yes, I've got a project for some money. So and yeah, that's our tunnel lighting project, and it just finished about a month ago. So
Nice. What is sunlight harvesting?
so that's just like if we had a sensor on these fixtures right here, be able to see that there's natural light coming in so that they could dim accordingly.
Alrighty, anybody else have any questions? Ian, awesome job, thank you. Let's see, next on our agenda is the Nicor Gas Novice WTE program.
Good morning. Can you guys hear us?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. It's good to see you all. Thank you for having us here on your agenda this morning. I think everybody knows I'm Lisa Shabak, right, from WorkNet DuPage, Workforce Development Division. And this is my colleague, Jamie Brown. She's our workforce board manager, and she's been helping with all of our EECBG workforce programming, assisting me with all of that as well here. So I don't know how much time we have, but I'll be fast. I have maybe 5 minutes.
I think it'd be all right at 5.
Okay. So what we investigated a bunch of different options so far to date that are energy efficiency related kind of workforce development programs in the county or in the surrounding area that are apart from our standard kind of WIOA programming. And we identified a number of different things. We landed on Nicor's workforce training and employment program for novices as the first kind of the most viable project to use these grant dollars on. They run this program in conjunction with Walker Miller Energy Services. And as you all probably recall, we entered into a subcontract agreement with Walker Miller for a maximum value of $27,152 of the $100,000 that was kind of allocated for workforce development out of the EECBG. To date, they haven't billed us anything yet, but we anticipate that that'll be coming forth. And so the total dollar amount won't exceed $27,000. What this program does, the goal of it is to expand and diversify the workforce within the clean energy industry by developing so-called building scientists, one of these kind of emerging and really rapidly expanding energy efficiency or clean jobs type career pathways. So what they do is they take people who are either underemployed or unemployed, who have basically no related experience. They could be recent high school graduates, they could be career changers. They screened, I want to say it was over 200 applicants for this program, not only from DuPage County residents, but they also had some Chicago residents, some Kane County residents that all applied for this cohort program. Those participants go through a series of safety trainings. So they come out with OSHA 10 certification. They study ladder safety, confined spaces. Ian just mentioned all the time kind of spent in these confined spaces when you're doing these types of careers. CPR and first aid certification. And then more career specific, they acquire Building Performance Institute or the BPI certifications. Those included building science principles, building analyst technician, and the air leakage control installer certification, which is really in demand from my understanding certification. And then when they complete that, they went through a 2-week on-the-job training period with a local employer with the hopes of either being offered full-time employment at that worksite location or being able to parlay that into employment elsewhere. So what we have done to date, we haven't done much, truth be told, but except for apart from fund this, but our partners there they started off with a cohort of 14 students. They ended up losing 2 to attrition, no call, no show type of situation. So they're going to be graduating actually tomorrow night at NICOR headquarters, 12 students. 3 of those students were DuPage County residents that were able to take part in this because of the grant dollars. So initially, NICOR had an agreement with Walker Miller for 10 students. And we said with these grant dollars, they'll be able to expand the capacity of this program. And they were able to take 3 additional DuPage County residents into the program. They reside in Woodridge, Glen Ellen, and Naperville. 2 males and 1 female. Last week, they finished their second week of on-the-job training. As I said, they'll be graduating tomorrow night at NICOR headquarters, which we'll be in attendance for. They had 100% pass rates, our 3 students, on the certification exams. So they're all going to be quite marketable for opportunities in this field with those new certifications. Our team at WorkNet went out in July to provide job search and employability skills training. 3 of our staff went out and provided a whole session for them on all of that. We know already that 2 of our students already got offered full-time employment. And the company's trying to see if they can take on a 3rd person as well, or if that person is going to need further assistance. Both Walker Miller and we will continue to assist her in landing full-time employment. And I think those are the keynotes. I have some photos if you'd like to see. I don't know if I can share my screen or not, but I can also email them to the committee if you would like. And so far we think that it's been pretty, it seems to have been a really successful initial cohort.
Are we good for her to share?
Yeah.
If you want
Go
to
ahead and
share.
share, Lisa.
Oh, okay, great. Let's see, share screen here. Okay, let me see. Are you seeing these?
Yes.
Okay, so this was the first day of class. So a few of these individuals are our partners with Walker Miller and NICOR, and then these are all the students. We have the day when our staff went out, so you could see they're talking about self-assessment of skills and transferable skills. This is Mark Dennison from my team and Adriana Costello. And then this was the group picture that they took that day. So everybody, my understanding is everyone that has taken the class has acquired certifications. And in our world, that's the tell that this is a successfully run program, because you do come across workforce development programs where they might get like a certificate of completion or something, which is nice, but those industry credentials are what are really going to help people land jobs.
Thank you, Lisa. I have a quick question from Member Guston.
Thanks, Lisa. Thanks for your presentation. I don't remember, is this the NICOR Training Center in Naperville? I think it's right off of Ferry or something. I know when I was on city council, we approved it, did a ribbon cutting, and they talked about the program, the training programs that they were going to be building and doing in that facility. Is that the same one or no?
Yes, Member Guston, it is. So this course took place partially at the headquarters. Some of the coursework took place at Waubonsee, and then some of it took place at an Aurora employer that had a warehouse space, I think for the air leakage control installation portion of it. But the primary location was the NICOR headquarters there in Naperville in their training center. And I believe that's where the graduation is going to be held tomorrow evening as well.
Great, thank you, thank you.
Great. Any other questions? No other questions? Thank you so much for your presentation this morning, Lisa. As usual, job well done. Did you have something to add?
No,
Or are you just
no,
waving goodbye? Okay.
Thank you for having us this morning. It's good to see you all.
Good to see you too, Lisa. Thank you. Next on our agenda is old business. Does anybody have any old business? Seeing none, does anybody have any new business? Seeing none, without objection, we're adjourned. Look at that.